Ciao a tutti, come stai? I hope that you're doing well. I've watched too many Italian tennis games lately during the Rome tournament, plus I'm following the Giro d'Italia, the cycling race where my friend Tadej Pogacar is destroying the field. But that's not the topic of the day, sorry. Let's go back to basketball. Last week, the focus was on the NBA. Today it will be on the WNBA. I've started to watch women basketball around 2004 with Lisa Leslie and Lauren Jackson. But my favorite player was, and still is, from the Phoenix Mercury, Diana Taurasi. Today, I will talk about the business of the WNBA. Of course, it is a huge topic, and in the 10-minute podcast, I won't be able to cover everything. I will try to give an overview of different aspects, and if some sections are more interesting to you, let me know, then I will go deeper in the next episode. Prior to this season, what was the state of the WNBA economically speaking? The salary cap was and still is extremely low compared to the NBA, meaning teams cannot pay a lot of players and not a high salary. Let's compare the current salary of the number one in the draft from both leagues, Caitlin Clark and Victor Wembanyama. $76,000 for Clark per year, $12 million for Wemby per year. The difference is insane. He earns like 150 times more than her on the court. The salary cap between men and women is significant. It is even bigger for the highest paid player. The salary cap in the WNBA leads more precarity for women. Some players are cut after a couple of years and it's hard to find a new spot for them. There is not a lot of teams in the league, less players in general, due to a low salary cap compared to the NBA. Also, a lot of WNBA players must play half of the season overseas to make money. And I'm not talking about the less famous player here. I'm talking the likes of Diana Taurasi. Yes, she played 20 years for Phoenix in the US, but she also played for the Spartak Moscow, Galatasaray, Fenerbahce, or Ekaterinburg. On the bright side, we've seen more improvements recently for the WNBA. The league raised $75 million from investors 2 years ago, and they have numerous partnerships with brands such as Nike, Skims, and Wilson. Today, in 2024, we can feel huge changes, improvement for the WNBA for many reasons. We have 12 teams, 6 in the West, 6 in the East. The league will expand soon. 2 new teams will arrive, San Francisco and Toronto. Both cities already have an NBA team, successful NBA team, I should say. The Toronto Raptors won a title in 2019, and the Golden State Warriors won 4 titles in the last decade. The Golden State Valkyries, yep, that's the name of the new WNBA franchise. They should enter the league next year, and Toronto the year after. They don't have a name yet. So, in 2026, we will not have 12, but 14 teams in the WNBA. More games played, jerseys sold, job created. Plus, I suppose the league will be able to renegotiate the TV deals because if you have 2 more teams, you have more games, more new upcoming stars, potentially more revenue for the league and the players. Katie Engelbert, the WNBA commissioner, she wants not 2 but 4 new teams by 2028, which is great for the development of the league. The contenders for the last 2 spots are Denver, Philadelphia, Nashville, and Houston. To accelerate the league development, I would incentivize is probably not the right word, encourage the Middle East countries, private equity firm, or any other wealthy entities to invest in the WNBA. For the Middle East, that could be a way of having some presence in the US sports and diversify their portfolio. They could invest in teams or directly into the WNBA, such as the WTA in tennis with CVC Capital Partners. The private equity invested for $150 million in women's tennis. It could provide more resources for improving training facilities, for example, player development, or even finance charter flight. Having their own flight this year is a massive improvement for the WNBA. Prior to that, players had to take commercial flight, less comfortable for them and less security for the players, towards some fans. I've seen a picture of the Indiana Fever's players in their airplane last week. You could tell they had the time of their life. It was like a fiesta in the plane. But yeah. Having new commercial star power also helped, coming into the league, such as Caitlin Clark, Cameron Brink, and Angel Reese. It is huge for the league. It will attract new sponsorship, increase ticket sales, and as I said earlier, have a better TV deal. For the huge fans or even the occasional ones, I would be inclined to produce a series such as Drive to Survive on Netflix to increase the league popularity. The WNBA or someone close to Caitlin Clark needs to pitch the idea of following teams or a couple of players for a year. Disney, Amazon, YouTube, Netflix, they are all fighting for sports content, and I'm sure someone will take his chin on this series. Also, to increase fan engagement, I think like the NBA, they should play more games overseas. They only played like 3 games outside the US since the league creation. Toronto last year in a preseason game was the first step, but they need more. Play like 2 games or more in Europe or Asia per season, especially in the preseason. A lot of young girls would love this. You need to make it more accessible to young girls that might gonna be inspired by Clark, Reese, or someone else to become a WNBA player. By the way, I'm sure if the New York Liberty played a game in France, the popularity of Marine Johannes would have skyrocketed, and the French people today will follow more the WNBA. Oh, I'm French, by the way, if that was not clear for you. We obviously need to talk a bit more about Caitlin Clark. She will be the face of the WNBA, not only in the US, but in the world. Clark made her WNBA debut against the Connecticut Sun. The game was sold out. The Sun first sellout in 20 years, and Clark is not even in their team. But people want to see the phenomenon. The cheapest ticket was 6 times more expensive than the next Suns game. $117 versus $17. Crazy. Plus the game was on ESPN2. Her debut averaged 2.1 million viewers. It is the most watched WNBA game in over 20 years. I have another stat for you about Caitlin Clark's value. On May 24th, the Indiana Fever will play the Los Angeles Sparks in LA. The Sparks usually play in the Walter Pyramid, a 5,000-seat stadium. However, the demand to see the opponent, Caitlin Clark, was so huge that they will move the game to the Staples Centers. The Crypto Arena, where the Lakers play. You can have 19,000 people in the Crypto Arena. The stadium will be full for sure. Plus the ticket price will increase compared to a normal Sparks game. The Sparks will increase their revenue big time that night, like 20 times more than usual. All in all, the business of the WNBA is in a better place today than it was 10 years ago. I believe it's just the beginning and the league will grow a lot in the coming years. That's it for this episode. I'm aware that I went fast on some subjects and not deep enough. Let me know if you want me to go deeper on something specific for a future episode. I wish you a lovely day and see you next Monday for a new episode where I'm going to talk about tennis and Roland Garros. Bye bye.